I love that animation. Dean Skelos, get this is the latest today here. He's refusing to step down, this much you knew, as his role as Senate Majority Leader. Obviously, he's under indictment. He reportedly said if he's forced to leave leadership, he will leave the Senate entirely. Now you say, well, good, you know, he steps down and he's gone. That wouldn't be so good to the Republicans who have to decide if they want him as his leader, because they would lose a member and then lose leverage against Democrats because the margin is that razor thin. Andrew?
And his number 2 is under federal indictment and has health issues. And it's entirely possible that the numbers just won't add up and Republicans would have to work out some sort of deal with Democrats or the IDC to try to share power.
Like,
Jeff Klein may be your next president of the Senate.
Wow.
I mean, it's, yeah, really the nuclear option, and I can't understand it, frankly, because first I felt like it was very selfish to put all the members in a position of even having to stick by you. Right. You know this is going to be a political issue. You have members out there being forced to say, you know, and it's, look,
especially after some of the same guys said, hey, Silver, you better step down. You're indicted. How can you be a leader of a...
It's so hard to understand that they saw this all play out just recently, so I don't know why they thought it would be any different for them. It's almost incomprehensible.
I've seen this described as a Hail Mary play by Skelos. It's basically the last threat that he has, the last card that he has to play to try to hold on to his leadership position. I don't think it's going to work.
But he's doing it at the expense of every other Republican senator right now, or every challenger, because this is going to be hung around their necks in the election next year. And, you know, we already have an enrollment disadvantage, and, you know, we're supposed to be on this anti-corruption agenda and the Reform Party, and this is what they're going to be forced to answer to.
One voice? It's really interesting, Dominic. I was just thinking about this today. I haven't heard a syllable from Governor Cuomo. No. Since this has come down, he has not said boo. I'm not saying that in a nice way. So my point is, that in and of itself is interesting, don't you think?
It is interesting. I don't want to speculate.
Oh, heaven forbid, Dominic speculates. Yeah.
The third of the three amigos.
I mean, right? He is the third of the 3 men in the room. I mean, but Skelos is not going to resign. He's going to do exactly what Shelley Silver did.
Step down.
If he resigns, if you're convicted, some of us would say when you're convicted, if you even go to trial, what do you have to negotiate if you resign? They always hold that chip of I'll go away quietly and resign if I don't have to do jail time or whatever. He's not going to resign.
I think Cuomo's staying quiet because he's trying to make Preet Bharara forget he's even there. You know, I think if Preet Bharara said his head above water too.
As Preet Bharara said, stay tuned. Now, I want to go to Staten Island, where Republican Daniel Donovan just won special election for the congressional seat representing the area that obviously his predecessor, Republican Michael Grimm, who also got in trouble. This is a common theme here until he stepped down here. Now, this part I didn't know. I always assumed that registration favored Republicans, but by 16 points here, Democrats have an advantage, but it's been a long time since they've won. Why?
Well, I think you're dealing with...
Is it message or messenger?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, Staten Island is a very tight-knit community. Dan Donovan has represented them both as deputy borough president and district attorney for almost 20 years. So, you know, you walk down the street with him and people are yelling, "Hey, Danny." I mean, they know him. So that's a big piece of it. But it's also a more conservative Democrat, your Reagan Democrat, if you will. The majority of them feel like the president and the mayor are taking the city and the country on the wrong direction. But yet they still self-identify as Democrats from registration. Yeah, I mean, because it's a big labor. Dan got a lot of labor support, which you don't traditionally see with Republicans. But it's a very blue collar, a lot of cops and firefighters.
So not that you give free advice here to Democrats, but A, don't pick a Democrat, even from Brooklyn, to run if Staten Island's the district, because we've gone down that road. It doesn't work. But you gotta. I mean, what kind of Democrat can challenge?
Well, I thought the Gentile campaign made a huge mistake in basically running a Pelosi, de Blasio type campaign. I mean, they went far left on so many issues, and it was almost surprising to me. I thought, like, when are they going to try and, you know, hedge out that middle ground, and they never did it. And it was just the electorate doesn't respond to that. So it was the wrong strategy for Gentile, which I think I think he's more conservative than his advisors really made him out to be in this campaign. But he voted with de Blasio 99% of the time. We hung that around his head, raised taxes on the middle class.
You're
so
off
it
the
was,
job.
you're asking me. You're asking me. I'm telling you why I think he
Yeah.
won, because he was very out of step with the pulse of the electorate, and Dan was very in line with that, and
obviously he wasn't
had the
harmed at
support
all
of the
by
community.
the Garner case either, and the no indictment.
And also, I mean, the DCCC didn't put a dime into this race on Gentile's behalf. I think they were sort of, storing their acorns for the 2016 race and thinking that they might be able to be more competitive.
It'll be a waste then.
Andrew, we only got a minute, and I'm shortchanging it, but just catch everybody up to date to what Jeb had to say about his brother and his brother's role.
Well, you remember he was saying a couple months ago that I'm my own man and I'm a different Bush, and I'm in a private closed-door meeting that
George
he didn't think had any press. He said that George W. Bush is my closest foreign policy advisor, especially on issues involving, wait for it, the Middle East. Let's just a reminder that Iraq is in the Middle East, Afghanistan is in the Middle East, Iran is in the Middle East, and W's track record maybe not so good. I've been saying for some time that Jeb Bush's biggest problem is his last name, and people still remembering the mistakes that his brother made.
I think it helps him raise money, but you don't find anybody who says, I love Jeb.
He's bringing it back. That hurts in a general election. It might help in the primary, but it hurts in the general.
But didn't these candidates learn anything from Mitt Romney and the 47% comment? You are on the record all the time now.
Do you think he didn't
always
know
have
that
to
somebody
worry
was
about
listening?
someone
That somebody
leaking
would-
it out. You have to always assume that.
But it's the
Why
message
these
in both
candidates
cases.
don't
Yes,
get
they should be more attentive to the fact that they're always being recorded. But it's the message in both those cases, whether it's W or 47%,
Right.
that
Listen,
hurts.
I think that the fact that his brother was president, like, you're always going to rely on him for some sort of advice. It doesn't mean he needs to make the same decisions, but it would be crazy to think that he doesn't ever get advice from
I'm
his
with you,
brother.
but don't say, especially when
No,
foreign
right.
policy, especially
I
in the Middle
agree.
East. Yeah.
But you don't want that out there, and he needs to realize that you were today.
Yeah.
You were always on the record.
It's crazy. You're right. That people still, in this day and age, don't believe something either you send in social media or something you'll say,
'cause it's
assume there's
close
always
to
a hot
press,
mic.
yeah.
All right. When we come back here, a story we didn't cover this week here, but I'm curious the table's taken it. Modern Family, the star of it, or one of them, Sofia Vergara, she's fighting a battle over a very modern way to start a family. She and the ex-fiancé fighting over frozen embryos, a story that could impact hundreds of thousands of people in actual similar situations.